I would be in the relationship, but yet uh still moving like I was by myself. I literally used to have to talk to myself and say, okay, wait a minute. I know I want to go do A, B, and C, but it's not just me now. Let me, let my partner know that I want to go hang out with the guys or something. Because I was so, yeah, I was so in the mindset of it's just me, so I don't have to answer to anybody. I can go and come when I please. And so I've been doing that for so long to where I was getting in these relationships and being confused at why uh my girlfriend was mad when I would get off work at 5 and not come home until 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And I'm looking like, what in the world is wrong with you? But then I had to remember, okay, it's not just me anymore. I have to take the other person's feelings into account. I have to take the other person's life into account because we all have things going on. We all have uh, things that we were doing or we were a part of before we got in these relationships. So when we get in these relationships, we can't act like that other person is not there.
That's so true. And that's what we're not doing. And like you say, in this generation, we're being selfish and, going outside. I feel like, those old generations and those old marriages, they talked about it. I was like, look at it like you have a company. Let's use just a fast food, for example. They're going to make sure that their condiments is stocked. They're not just going to let it run down to one and then they lose their customers because of certain things is not stocked.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't we do that as marriage? Make sure that the love bank is filled. Make sure that we both are emotionally okay and seeing how each other doing. Why can't we just, for me, a marriage is something that, there's work there, but I like to, in place of the word work, put maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make that relationship.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And even it's funny because when we were earlier talking about how the men will sometimes say now that, oh, I'm not paying for anything and I'm not investing my money unless I'm getting something in return, meaning sex. And the women would say, okay, you're not getting the sex unless you can pay a bill or in case, or you can do that. It was funny when you mentioned the condiments, how they won't let them get down to one. Well, now, even those, they're not giving to you anymore unless you're going to pay extra. They used to just throw those in the bag. They throw ketchup in the bag if they knew you had fries. Now you have to specifically ask for ketchup.
Yes, you do. You have to ask for it. And if you don't ask for that ketchup, you ain't getting none.
You're not getting not one drop.
They were charging, I don't know what state I was in, they were charging a nickel for condiments.
A nickel for some ketchup.
Ketchup or mustard, whatever you want, they was charging it for it. I was like, what? I can't remember what state it was or where it was, and I was just shocked. And you know what? They know, I'm going to be honest, they know that we take them condiments and we got them all in our refrigerator. Don't tell me you don't have none in your refrigerator.
What refrigerator? They're in the refrigerator. They're in the drawer beside the sink. Some of them are in the car. I could probably start a McDonald's with all the condiments that I have. But you see that reverts over into relationships too, because just like I collect condiments and most people collect condiments, there are a lot of people out here that are collecting spiritual and emotional condiments from people and doing nothing with them.
Yeah, that's true.
They just storing them somewhere.
Oh my goodness, you talking good now. You talking good. That's so true.
And you just made me think about that. That is crazy.
That's what they're doing.
And the problem is that McDonald's will see that the condiments are getting low and will replenish them. But we as people will know that our emotional and spiritual and psychological condiments are getting low, but we won't replenish them. We'll let the same customer, the same bloody customer, continue to come and take them without us pouring back into ourselves.
So true.
And there has to be something, somewhere, somehow, some way to where we flip the switch and understand that we are worthy enough to be poured into, even if we're the ones doing the pouring.
That's true.
Because we're not always going to have someone else pour into us. We have to understand and know how to do it ourselves and love ourselves enough to say, okay, I'm worth it. I'm worth more than this doggone woman that only wants to use me for a doggone backbender. I'm worth more than just this man that only wants to use me for a bank or someone to get his rocks off right now, because it's not like most of them are only dealing with one woman.
That's so true.
Something has to click in us, though.
I always say that my heart is not an a la carte. I don't just spread it out to everybody. My heart is a whole heart. It's not all spread out for everybody. But that's the way we treat the Lord too. That is the way we treat the Lord. And he already told us, he said, stop prostituting. And he showed Hosea, if you ever read the book of Hosea, he had him to go marry a prostitute to show just how we were doing. We were prostituting ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, did not give you flowers, did not give you this, and I bought you back. That's how much I loved you. I bought you back. You ever get a chance to look at that? It's a beautiful story.
It is. I know that story.
She went out and had babies by other men. He was told to continue to love them.
Love that woman. Do you think and this, you may again have to take yourself out of yourself and think hypothetically, but do you think that type of obedience or that type of love is still prevalent today?
Not of ourselves. With God included in it, yeah. But it takes that type of agape love. But of ourselves, no.
It's gonna take
we do.
It's gonna take a whole boatload of agape for me, because I can't see.
I tell you this like this before my time goes out, and it's amazing talking to you, and look forward to your other talks. But like when I was younger, I liked this guy, probably about eighth grade or something, eighth grade, something like that. And he was white and I'm black. And so I lied and said I had a boyfriend, but really I didn't. It's because I didn't love him enough to take on the systemic racism of black and white together.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I'm looking at, I didn't love him enough for that. And so that's the way I look at your question. Love was not enough for me to go through that.
That's
so deep. I went with my own race.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you ever, well, I'm sure you don't now, but did you ever have a little regret for that? Or not, maybe not even regret, but did you ever be like, I wonder how things would have went if?
I hadn't thought about it because it was that moment. It wasn't enough things invested in it other than being students together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But whereas my brother, his wife is Mexican, so it's a lot of invested there, and they have 3 handsome sons and 2 granddaughters from his oldest son. So they are enduring whatever society is throwing at them. But
That's
they call
amazing.
themselves Blaxican. They said they're Mexican and black. So they want that folks are saying Blaxican. And the youngest one, he said he just a plain N word, and he looked more Mexican than the other two.
Oh, wow.
But they all look Mexican. Yeah. So it's been amazing here. I don't know if you have other guests and stuff, but this has certainly been great. And thank you again for listening to our talks over there on my side as well.
Oh, most definitely. I'll definitely continue to listen as well. I don't have as many, or anyone rather, jumping on tonight like normal. So I'm so glad that you decided to come up and give your input. It's refreshing to talk to people that have had seasoned relationships as yourself, that understand that things don't always go uh, peachy, but they always end up right. So I applaud you and
That's
your
right.
husband. I applaud you and your husband. It's a great motivator for people that look to have relationships as fruitful as yours. And I say keep pressing forward, keep doing what you're doing, because it's definitely working for you. And keep being the light that other people can see. And I love your talks. I will always come and listen whenever I see you pop up, because you have a lot of great things. And everyone that's listening here tonight, please, if you don't already follow Miss Ellen, go follow her. Very transparent, very wonderful speaker. So do that, and you and your husband have a wonderful night. Thank you, thank you, thank you again, and you know you can come back anytime.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Have an amazing one.
Thank you. That was wonderful. That was a wonderful hour spent with Miss Ellen. I'm so glad she decided to come in. The floor is still open, y'all. I mean, you done heard a lot of what I had to say on the subject. I'm curious to know what you guys feel about sex as far as relationships go. Do you feel like it can ruin a relationship? Do you think for the most part it's not the sex that ruins the relationship, but the actual participants of the relationship? You know, that's what it don't make me jump in there and start calling people out, because I see some folk that are in here right now that I know for a fact could add some good stuff to the conversation. I'm gonna try to let you come up on your own though. You know how it is when that reminds me of uh when I used to be inside the church, and Miss Nikita Hunt is coming up right now. But I'm gonna say this, it reminds me of when I used to be in the church, and you know, they would be doing I don't think it's the benediction, but it's like the call to the altar to save people and stuff like that. And they'd be like, they stand up there and just keep saying, come on now, you never know what tomorrow's gonna bring. And you standing there and you want to go up, but you don't want to go up. And they just keep going. That's what that felt like. How you doing, Miss Hunt?
I could be better. I'm great, but I could be better. That traffic on 85 is terrible. I think all my data was gone, so I lost you like right at the beginning of the show. So can you kind of fill me in on what was said? Do you got time?
I'm gonna fill you in. Yeah, I always got time. But I think what you're saying too, I think that it may be the app, because I've had other people messaging me saying that it froze and it went out on them and stuff like that. So hopefully that's fixed. It might be a universal thing too, because I'm also live streaming on my YouTube channel right now as well, and the sound went out on it, you know, about 20 minutes ago. So I don't know what's going on, but thankfully everything is fixed now. But basically, we were talking about, can sex ruin a relationship? And we're talking about situations where sex is the basis of the relationship. That's the foundation of it. So Normally, I found in situations where I wasn't really getting to know the woman and it was just based off sex, I just feel like whenever you have a situation that's totally based off sex, if one of you wants it to go further than that, then just be prepared to look to the side and that person not to be there one day. Because from a man's point of view, if a man is with you only for sex, then it's not going to take much for him to go to another yard, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But it's not all men, though.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah. I heard the beginning of it when you were saying you have to have something a little bit more in depth than sex. I feel like there needs to, that's important to me. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie because it is important. Does it have to be the absolute, like a 100 out of 10? No. But there has to be some type of, intimacy or, sexual connection there. But again, I'm older and not even just I'm older, like I've been like this, like all my dating life or whatever. And as I told everybody in previous shows, I haven't had the best outcome when it comes to relationships, but not on my end. And that's something I'm dealing with now. I know it's not me. But you have to have more than sex. Sex can only ruin a relationship if that's all you're really putting into it. That's right. It. That's all. I mean, because I have been with men, and y'all know I'm very, you already know how I am. I've been with men, and it's more physical touch than the actual act of having sex that arouses them. You have to have some other type of sensuality. Like I can look at somebody and reconnect, or I can talk and have that. Like Erykah Badu said, it's not what's in between my legs, it's what's in between my ears. Yes. It's one of those things. Sex has never ruined a relationship for me. Never. My dad is a pastor, and I know this is going to sound weird, but he told me years ago that you should always have sex with the person you think you're going to marry, or have sex before you get married, because that's going to be the defining if it's actually going to work out or not. But I don't know about that.
Now, was he saying, or from your perspective, do you think that he said that because sex is such an important part of a successful relationship?
I think so. Now, listen, it depends on the culture too, because I was watching something on TV where, they arranged marriages, and it was for the Indian Asians is what I was saying. And there were women on there that were saying they weren't attracted to the men that they had picked out for them. It was like what do you call those people that they find you somebody? What is it?
I know what you're talking about. I almost thought you were talking about marriage at first sight.
No, that's not it. It's like they go out and they find people like matchmaking or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was mostly the Indian population, and a lot of the women were like, "Well, I'm not attracted to him or whatever," and they were like, "That comes later." You shouldn't be worrying about physical appearance, and you should be trying to get in a secure relationship where you guys can build together, and it's not just about how they look. And I think I heard you say that earlier too, or how their body's shaped, or if their teeth are not as white as they should be, just superficial stuff. And it kind of makes sense to me once you really listen to what she was saying. And a lot of them do. They get married and then they say, well, we weren't in love. That came later. Because you have to get to know somebody for more than just sex. So it makes sense. And their marriages last a very, very long time.
Oh, yeah. And most, not all, but most of them do when there are things that are deeper than just the physical. Because as you know, it's harder to break away from something that has its quote unquote hooks in you in a lot of different areas. If there's someone that has touched your heart, your soul, your mind, and things like, it's harder to break away from that person versus someone that has only been good to you in sex. Because you and I both know, we hear a lot of people say that well, you don't hear too much men say it, but you hear a lot of women say that sometimes they won't even bother with the headache because they can satisfy themselves, and you know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
so they're like, so if that's the only thing that's the connector, then it's easier to detach from somebody like that. But when you have somebody that you done invested in, you know, they've seen you at your lowest, they've seen you at some highs, you've confided in this person, y'all have built a friendship, communication is good. When those things are good, that's when it's painful to get away from that.
Right. Right. Because even with my last one, we talked about that one too. It wasn't even about the sex at the end because it wasn't even happening like that. It was more to it, like communication. It was just a basic connection throughout. I mean, there are bad things and there are good things, and if you're holding on to the good things and sex is not even a part of it, yeah, it makes it very, very hard to forget about them and leave them and move on.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I said, if it's just superficial sex, of course, it can ruin anything. But here's my thing. It's really good, for example, when you start off, and what if that person gets ill? They have a stroke or, something else like emotionally or mentally happens and they can't get aroused, or, it could be stress.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? Are you going to leave them alone? Because they have the potential to, really set it out for you, but now they're sick. What do you do?
Exactly. And that happens a lot.
It does.
Especially now with the amount of people that don't really put their health in the forefront. And even if you do, things happen sometimes out of the blue. And there are people, unfortunately, that are in these situations and something happens and either the man or the woman, gets in a health predicament, and then the next thing you know, somebody's filing for divorce or somebody's saying, I can't deal with this.
Yeah. And they go, like you said, they go find another yard to play in, and it's a big mess. And then that's going to be crazy because if they're able to heal themselves or be healed from whatever the issue may be, it could be a number of things. And then now they're back up and running. You've gone out here and done what you've done, your dirt. What are you going to look like a fool going back in?
Yep.
Because you could have easily, had more going on in that relationship than just that physical part of it, and been okay. And again, like you say, a lot of women say, "Oh, I can please myself." Listen, that shit is overrated. Listen to me. That ain't what I want. Yeah. I don't want no piece of plastic or my fingers or whatever, all the time. I don't want that. I can't bend down and kiss my own boobies all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just stuff that you actually need from the other, your partner. Mm-hmm. So they can say, "Oh, I can do myself." Y'all shut up with them lies.
Yeah, there's nothing like physical human touch. Right. It's especially when you want something more than just sex. Even when you just want sex. I mean, that other stuff, all these roses and cucumbers and doggone plastic dolls and all this other stuff, that can only get you where you want to be for so long. Yeah. I mean, it can't spoon or cuddle after the fact. It can't go out to eat after the nap that comes after. There is so many things. Mm-hmm. But we as people have this this complex about being strong and being able to do everything, and I don't need you, and I can do it all by myself. There's the sickness and this disease that's filling us up to where we just can't look vulnerable.
It's because we're not associating ourselves with the right people. Mm-hmm. The older I get, and the more I sit back and look at it, I'm just, we're just not putting ourselves with the right people. We're just jumping out here and doing anything. Foolishness.
Yeah.
Just being foolish, and then when it doesn't work out, you want to always blame the other person. But, It don't. It's a two-way street. You know, you picked him or her or them, whoever, you know, just the same as they did, and you guys just didn't think it through clearly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, like I said, when I was watching that show, they, you know, match people up. Maybe that's what we need to start doing.
Those arranged marriages.
Yeah, because they did it even with us back in, you know, with us in the slave days. You know, they got matched up 12, 13 and got married, you know, to a 50-year-old man or whatever, but they stayed married, except on The Color Purple.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the norm. I mean, people aren't staying together now. Whereas they used to stay together a whole lot longer. And we all know it wasn't, you know, all about the sex. They were poor, like you said. They came up dirt poor and made something together. And I hear a lot of people saying that too, is that, oh, we don't want to get married yet because we're broke and we don't have this and that. But baby, if you can survive with somebody where you're broke and y'all don't have absolutely a pot to piss in or when to throw it out of, then more than likely your marriage is going to be very successful.
I know that's right.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
You know? And it can't be that when you're that way, I'm pretty sure y'all not hunching like that. I love hunching, that's my word, y'all. I'm sorry. But I mean, when you're stressed out over bills, you know, children, whatever it could be, you know, I don't think anybody's really having sex like that. Who has the energy, for one thing, or the mental space to be like, darn, I want to, you know, really be touched all the time and do this stuff all the time. So they'll be more successful at it than anything else. Yeah. I mean, if you're going into it and all you want to do is hunch, then say it. All I want to do is hunch, and that's it, and go on about your business. But yeah,
because I guarantee you there'll be someone out there other than you that wants to do the same exact thing. Now you may have to run that by a couple folk before you actually get somebody to agree to it. But hey, there'll always be someone that wants to do it too. And I think some issue in that is because like you said, a lot of times people don't stay together anymore. And I think that's because there's way too many noodles in the bowl and everyone has access to it.
Your analogies are awesome. Noodles in the bowl, I like
that. And everybody has access to it because people, who was that had the song Irreplaceable?
Is that really
Beyonce? I think it was Beyonce.
Of course.
The Irreplaceable song where she was like, "You're irreplaceable." Boom, boom, boom. That's the thing, though. Everybody feels like everybody's irreplaceable. And truth be told, there are people walking this planet, and I would like to believe that we fall in this category, and everyone that's listening falls in this category or watching. Everyone isn't replaceable. There are things that you bring to the table that only you can bring to the dadgum table. There is an energy source that makes you that is unique to you and that is beneficial to this world. If we get out of this mindset that everyone can be replaced, then people wouldn't hop from camel hump to camel hump like they do.
Right. I don't think that we should look at it because I tell you, again, I love listening to these shows every week because I can remember, you know, the one before, and the conversations we have. And I don't want anybody who's new on here that hasn't heard me talk. I don't want you guys to think that I'm conceited in any way, shape, form, or fashion because Salih knows for a fact I'm very humble. But I am very secure in who I am. I do have the same weaknesses as other people is when it comes to, you know, relationships or feelings and stuff like that, because I'm human. That's what I'm supposed to do. But the thing I do know by experience is that I'm not replaceable. Not saying that you can't go out and get somebody else. You can go out and get somebody else. But is that person going to bring to the table, like you said, what I brought? And 9 times out of 10, based on my experiences with my exes, they can't ever find anybody to do what I do or be who I am. Talk like I talk, walk like I walk, look how I look. You know, we're all different people, but you're never going to find, as I always say, that checklist, everything checks off. Now, I'm not saying I don't ever do anything wrong, but I'm saying out of the percentage, 100, I'm more than likely doing 95% of everything right. And you're not going to find that with everybody. I'm not superficial. I'm not stingy. I'm not a lot of things. And you can't find that nowadays with a lot of the people that you go out and seek or search for.
People don't take the a lot of times it's because people don't take the time to invest in themselves to create that as well. A lot of us are walking around out here not knowing who we are, not understanding our worth, not knowing what we are, what our purpose is, and it's like the blind bumping into the blind. There's nobody leading. It's just everybody just doing whatever, just surviving.
We discussed that. I told you that everybody wants to do what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're following the crowd instead of being their own individual person. And you can't hear anything if all you hear is the outside noise. You got to take time out to sit and meditate and think about things and actually look at yourself and know I'm an individual and I have to act like an individual. I can't act like a group.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they do in a group. So
that's right. And how does it get there? Or do you think it can get there?
Experience, I think. If you're really paying attention to how things are working out for you, then that's when you get to the point where you're like, listen, I can't keep repeating the same cycle. Something has got to give,
Mm-hmm.
And you can listen to people, people can give you advice all day long, just telling you what to do. And then you look at them like they don't even know what the hell they doing,
Yeah.
So how can they tell me? And you just stop listening to everybody else and listen to what's on the inside and you can fix it. People think it's not repairable, but it is.
Yeah. There's always, you can always right that wrong. I always say, as long as there's breath in your body, you can be better than you were on yesterday. Mm-hmm. Just got to keep pressing forward.
Yeah, look and pay attention. Pay attention to your surroundings. I told you, one of the things is I just don't like to do what everybody else does. And a lot of people may not care for me. I wouldn't know because they're not going to really ever say it to my face. But a lot of people, just don't like the fact that I'm different. I had a manager at a job tell me, because I like colored hair, everything, and he's like, why can't you just be normal?
What is
normal to you?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And a lot of times, that's a big. I think we talked about this on another episode too. With people, are on this boat where they want everyone to think like them or everyone to do like they do. Nobody wants any kind of differences, or it has to be wrong if it's not the way I look at it, or if you think in a way that's not the way I think, then you have to be wrong.
Right. And you find it everywhere, like work. Your friends, other people's friends. Just listening to conversations. It's like nobody can have their own opinion or be themselves, about anything. Everybody wants to have that same thought process all the time. The negativity, all of that. I just can't get with it.
Mm-mm.
It's boring. I can't get with it. So when I say I do different things in relationships or situationships or booty calls or whatever it is, you just have to, do different things. But again, we're going back to the sex part. Yeah. I ain't having none right now. I'm celibate.
Well, then it can't ruin anything then.
I can't ruin a thing. And to be honest with you, it is not even really bothering me.
See? Because it's deeper than the actual sex.
Mm-hmm. It's deeper than the actual sex. And when you get to it, I think for younger people, maybe, not all, because I know there's some younger people that have old souls. Mm-hmm. I think it's okay for them to be like that. Yeah. Oh, but he ain't hunched me right. Or she ain't, she didn't give me oral sex or whatever. And I don't want to mess with her no more, whatever, Yeah. But when you get older, you start thinking about all kinds of crap. Like,
that's right.
Oh God, what, because I'm 51. How old are you, Sally?
46.
Okay, so at this age, when you start seeing all your peers they're starting to pass away earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at, I don't have nothing to show for what I've done all this time, or I'm gonna be alone for the rest of my life because of how I played the part before here. I should have been doing something different, and maybe I would have been settled down, with my partner, and not necessarily married or whatever. And we'd be traveling and doing all this. That's what's on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's on my mind.
Yeah, there's definitely there. I can say, in my age, with me being on this planet as long as I have, guys, once you get up in your 70s, you start looking at things this way. So,
Right.
the things that I think about now, the majority of them are centered around legacy. My children, building a solid foundation for those close to me and those around me, helping them out. Sex is just not it. When I was in shoot, I tell you this, by George, when I was 16, from about 16 to the age of 32 and a half, that was my number one thing. That's all I was thinking about. Who I was gonna lay down, and if I was in a relationship, how many times can we get it in before some kids come or a phone rings or somebody come over here. And when, if I'm being honest, looking back at those times in my life when my mindset was that, the person I was with was only getting like 20% of me.
Yeah.
I was not thinking about how to make them happy. I was not thinking about building a future with them. I was not thinking about anything that was attached to them that was valuable or worth having. I wasn't thinking about all of that stuff. I didn't really care about the person outside of what they could do for me.
Is that a man thing?
I think that's a people thing, because I've met enough women that think like that present day to know that it's not a man thing.
Okay.
I think it's a hurt thing. I think people that are operating out of hurt, whether they know that they're hurt and broken or not, operate that way. Because the majority of the women that I know that think that way have been hurt very badly, and they don't trust anymore. They have this wall up now. They're at the point where, okay, I've been hurt by A, B, and C, and I'll be damned if another one hurts me like that. So I think that mentality comes from a hurt place.
It does, and I'm thinking about everything you're saying as you're saying it, because I know I said the other show, I was like, I don't want to be in love. I don't want to do any of that anymore, which, not right now. And it's not because I've been hurt in like every relationship I've been in, but I also don't want to bring that hurt and pass it off on the next person I'm with. And I don't ever treat the new person wrong because of the way the last person did me.
And that's very important, because I think
very important.
A lot of times people do that, and sometimes I don't even think, I think most of the time they don't even realize they're doing it.
I know. It's almost like you're going to see similarities in people a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe or maybe not, but most of the time you do, there's going to be something similar, because this is what's happening. We're attracting the same people we always attract. Like I said, we're always putting ourselves back in that same spot at the dugout, at the 1, 2, 4, 3, or whatever. Those places. Yep. Not trying to just call them out like that, but the same spots over and over again with the same people. Try something different.
Mm-hmm.
Or else, 9 times out of 10, these people hang together, all act the same. They probably all slept with the same people.
Yeah.
Like I told you, everybody knows everybody. Mm-hmm. So, what are you getting different? Nothing. And that's how I look at mine. I'm looking at myself like, I don't go to clubs and I don't go out. I did a long time. I don't do all that. I'm mostly at home, but I'm still meeting the same people. And when I meet them, I'm like, oh, you know so-and-so. Oh, all of them know each other. And then, if you look at it, they all are doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still attracting the same people. Yet again, if I decide to, deal with them or not, I don't bring the hurt that I had previously and pass it off to them. Like, it's just one of those things. But if you take time like I'm doing now, which I should have done, you just don't jump from one relationship to another. Take time and actually look and see what is going on with you. Then you won't be hurt. You won't be scared to trust somebody else and start over.
Yeah, and that time to heal is what normally causes most of the issues with people. The lack of the time to heal, I should say, because a lot of times we convince ourselves that we are healed and we are ready. It reminds me of I had an ex, and I would go, it's simple things that she wasn't healed from, that she didn't even realize she wasn't healed from until after the fact. But I would want to go play pool. I remember this one time after work, the guys wanted to go to the pool hall to play. And so I told her, yo, I'm going to play with the fellas from work. We're going to play pool for a couple hours. And I could feel the energy shift over the phone. But she was like, okay. And so I went and played pool, got home. Um, it was tension, issues there. And so I didn't find out the why behind it until her and I broke up. And years later, we would discuss some things, and she was like, well, she said her ex-husband, she found out that every time he said he wanted to go play pool or go play basketball with the guys, he was cheating on her. So when I said the same line that he said, it took her back to that. And she just assumed that, okay, because he did it, you must be doing it.
Here's the thing. Women have intuition. That's all I'm going to say. Any woman on here that's still on here, if we ain't talk to them, know what I'm talking about. So if you feel it in your gut, then he's doing it. If you don't feel anything, then 9 times out of 10, he's not doing it. He's actually being genuine. And until the information comes back to you, you act like he's being genuine. Don't search for nothing, because that's when you get your feelings hurt.
Riddle me this.
Yes.
If you may. And I'm not a woman, so I don't know what it feels like and all of that, but I do understand and know about the woman's intuition. But, and that's a big but, I'll say this. And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, because I know that it does. And I tell, my sisters and my older daughters to follow that, because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to lead you wrong. But I will say this. Do you feel like a woman's intuition can be wrong? And has yours ever been wrong?
It has. And yes, it can be. It can be a feeling. Okay, for example, we talked about soul ties and trauma bonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you have a soul tie, trauma bond, however you look at it, for me, for my experience, I dream about it. I'll dream about it. And it's something to it, but it may not be the exact thing that I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It has happened. It's rare, but it has happened. Or I get that dream and I say it hasn't happened yet, but guess what? It's in the works, and then it does happen.
So you might be a prophetess.
I'm not going to, we'll talk about that another show, but I've hardly ever been wrong. I've hardly ever been wrong. I'm just going to put it to you like that. So it's with me, it's an ear ringing, or I dream about it, or I just get this sick feeling like something is not right. But I tell you what, you're going to know for sure is when you have the BV all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Your pH is throwed all the way off. Your cooler itching. You got to smell. He don't want to hunch nothing because now everybody got to get tested because he done been out there hunching on everything. That's when you really gonna know. But who wants to wait for that?
Yeah. Who wants to go through all that?
My thing is, if you feel like it, go ahead and ask.
Yep. That communication, that open line of communication.
Don't accuse them. Just be like, hey, Salih, I seriously want to sit and ask you a question. I know you may get upset, and I totally understand. I'm not accusing you. I just have a feeling, and the feeling that we get are more than likely true.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been with somebody? Are you talking to somebody? Have you slept with somebody? Listen, don't worry about how it's gonna make me react now. I just want you to tell me the truth. That's it.
And see, a lot of those situations can even go a lot better if men would learn how to listen and receive versus reacting all the time, because a lot of our reactions paint a picture that may not even be there. Because
Right.
I know guys that have literally been with me when their woman thought they were with another woman, but even me vouching and being honest about where the guy was didn't mean anything because of how he reacted when she first asked him about it.
Exactly.
Everything doesn't have to be a battle or on the defense. And that's when, like we continue to say, it goes back to that effective communication, learning how to communicate and not just act.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think anybody should be having sex to start off anyway. That's like, I think I heard you say that's one of the problems.
Yeah.
That instead of, getting to know somebody and dating and, having fun or whatever, hanging out and chilling, first thing they want to do is lay in the bed and hunch on each other.
Mm-hmm. And see,
go ahead.
Now, and it's kind of different now only because and this only applies to those that are genuine when speaking to somebody. This is not going to apply to everybody, what I'm about to say. But in today's time where most things are social media in some way, shape, form, or fashion, to where a lot of times these people are building foundations and relationships before ever laying eyes on somebody, because you can look at a profile picture all day long, but you don't really know if that's who you're looking at until you either FaceTime that person or meet that person, face to face. So a lot of times it's looked at like these people are just having sex when they first meet, but some of them they've kind of established a little bit beforehand with the and I think it happened a lot, especially during COVID, when COVID first came around, 2020, with people not really being able to physically be in front of somebody. So you had to do more talking. You had to do more seeing if a person was consistent with their communication and stuff like that. So by the time they actually met up, they had already had this rapport and already had built something somewhat to where the physical was kind of like the last thing on the doggone list. And them jokers got ravenous as a dadgum wolf on a small boar.
Mm-hmm.
Just darn tearing flesh apart. So it kind of goes. I understand, but sometimes I don't understand. So when I say that there should be something built before the sexual aspect of it, sex is all well and good. But if that's the only thing that the man or the woman is interested in you for, then just know, and like I said, some people are cool with that, and that's fine. But just know that it's only going to go so far.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of it out there.
It's a lot of it.
It's
not all good, but it's a lot of it out
there. Yeah, it's definitely not all good, but there is a plethora of dadgum sex to be had out there. But is the participants have to know whether they want something deeper than that or not. Because these physical bodies won't be able to do what they can do now forever.
The lies you tell.
Not forever.
I'm backing it up.
Right now you may be.
I'm not.
but it's like I saw something, it made my doggone eyelashes get moist because I saw this video. There was this man and this woman, this older couple, and he was dealing with cancer. And somehow they had I guess they knew when he was going to go, I'll say that. And they made this video where he was talking to his wife, and he used to tuck her in every night, and he was tucking her in for the last time, and she didn't want to let him go, and he was like, be good. He was so calm, and he was like, I'll see you later, be good and stuff like that. Hey, it made your boy drop a couple tears because I think there's something amazing about love and companionship and building something with somebody and sharing a life with somebody. And it's just hard for me to believe, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's hard for me to believe that so many people are as hard as they want people to think that they are. Because I continuously hear people say, I don't need nobody. Yeah, if I gotta die alone, I'll die alone, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, how can nobody want anybody?
Wow. You know what I think about? I was sitting here one day and you get mad because you like, you date all these people and you do all these things and they fumble. They're the ones that fumble, of course, and you're mad because how, like you said, how could she have the audacity, to do these things or whatever? Why couldn't they be loyal to me and love me this way and that? And I look at my sons, and don't take it the wrong way. I hope I say it right, but I have a 27-year-old and 25-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been through hell with a lot of men, and I have been through some stuff with my sons. They've never left me.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing sexual, of course. I'm not saying that it should be, but that's a love.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yep.
The love that you have for your children. And we have physical touch. We kiss and hug and play and wrestle and stuff like that, things like that. That's the type of love that we should have when we out here looking for these relationships.
Mm-hmm.
My sons ain't never left me. They still at home with me now, damn it. You know what I'm saying? But if you think about it, you do all this extra and you love your children unconditionally, and there's nothing nasty about it. It's just regular unconditional love.
Yep.
So
I don't even know do you? Of course, there are different levels of love, but do you think in today's climate, and of course, like I said, none of us speak for all women nor all men, but do you think in today's climate that level of unconditional love is attainable?
Yeah, I know for a fact it is. They have to receive it. They have to want to give it and receive it and understand it. See, that's the thing. If you're not putting yourself around people that show that type of love, you're not going to ever know how to receive it or give it. You're not going to ever know how to do it.
That is correct.
It's out here. So I told you it's love. I got love for you, and it's in love.
Mm-hmm.
There are different phases of it. And, like we said, when you head over heels and hunching like rabbits as soon as you meet, and then after a while you have sex 2 or 3 times a week, and then it goes to, I might want to have it twice a month, and then you get older and you don't, nothing. Then what else do you have?
Yeah, that's right.
There's no substance. So you gotta learn how to love somebody rather than just having sex with them.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to just look at you in your eyes and you be like, and you already turned on and ain't nothing else happening. And I look at you and you're like, damn, and we just roll over and go to sleep. But you still feel something.
There you go. Yeah. And travel and build and cook for one another and, take those walks in the park. And sometimes just one person be on one side of the house watching freaking Married with Children or whatever it is folks want to watch. And the other person be reading a book or something like that. And just, it's an amazing thing. And I think there was a time where it was plentiful. And I'm not going to say it's not around as much now, but I don't think people are as open with discussing it now. Maybe it's getting lost in all of the noise of everything else.
It is. It is. And everybody don't tell their business. Some people swear they're not like that, but they really are. A little bit of everybody is searching for that unconditional love. Mm-hmm. They just, like you said, they just want to be like everybody else. Running around here just laying up with people and acting a fool, having babies out of wedlock, and all kind of foolishness. So, hey, let them do what they do.
Yeah, rock out with you. No, I ain't gonna say that, but rock out. Whatever I tell people, whatever makes your boat float. Because hey, what builds your happiness may not build mine, and I'm pretty sure what builds most people's happiness has absolutely nothing to do with me. So I let people be who they are, who they want to be. Have at it. I just say, when you start looking at the grand scheme of things and the future, because I will say a lot of people look at things now day by day. They don't look at 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And there's a sadness to that even, but that's another topic for another day.
That is a whole nother. That's a good one. You write that one down. That's a good one.
That's another one. But it kind of flows into a little bit what I'll say this, because it seems like no one else is going to jump on it. I'm probably not going to give the opportunity for it. But like next week, I'll have Goddess Jazuri on the show, and she actually is a part of a podcast called Vulnerably Naked. But next week's show will be about does marriage hold any weight now? Meaning nowadays, does marriage hold any weight at all? And it kind of
I ain't talking about that one.
I
hope the app don't work next week
either. It made me think about that with the last things you said. And I was like, okay, yeah, that'll be a perfect time to put a pin in this, because I don't want to go ahead and get into that now. But yeah, that's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. I think a lot of people. I'm hoping that a lot of people will listen with transparent ears, speak with transparent lips, watch with transparent eyes. Because I think the only way that we truly get healing and understanding on all of these things is if we're not only honest with ourselves, but we're honest with everything that goes on. Because the reality of it is, to not say too much about and get in next week, the reality of it is a lot of people don't view certain things like they used to. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you again for coming on and giving your point of view. It's always greatly appreciated. Thank everyone that has come up to listen tonight. Thank those that have spoken. Please come back next week, Thursday at 6:00. We have some watching the YouTube live broadcast right now. Thank you guys for watching. Those that are listening that haven't watched, please go like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, King Shit Productions. I'll be not only doing it from here, the Wisdom app, but I'll also be going live on YouTube every week as well. So you can put a face to the voice.
Wait a minute, you on YouTube right now?
Right now as we speak.
Hello, everybody on the YouTube.
Yep. And I have King Shit merch. You can get that It's in the description section of my YouTube live. So go on, check that out. Get some shirts, hats, bandanas, whatever you want to get. It's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you guys for listening. Miss Hunt, thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Everybody, I'll see you all next week.
Good night.
Good night. That one is over, but again, I say thank you guys for coming on and watching. I'll be doing it again next Thursday at 6 o'clock. May start at about 5:50, 5:52. Who knows? But have a wonderful night. I'm gonna have me a wonderful night. Slam these eyes shut, cause eyes tired, boss. Keep pressing forward.